Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to my play ratings from Mansfield Town 0, Bradford City 3 in the EFL Trophy. As you can see, as always for the EFL Trophy, I am not joined by Kovan, as obviously it's the EFL Trophy. Maybe if we get to the semi-final, the final stage, I might force him to come, but it's a long way for him to travel for a game he didn't even bother watching. It's the EFL Trophy, a lot of people don't really care about it, but you clearly care about my opinion. So make sure to like, subscribe, comment, all that sort of good stuff. Thank you all once again for returning it to the play rating series, and let's get into it. Starting out firstly then with Collin Doyle, I've gone with a 6 out of 10. He had very little to do in the game. There was a few times where he looked a little bit uncomfortable when crosses were kind of going deep and over him to the back post. There was one specifically where I think Nichols got on the end of it and he fired his shot into the side net, and it was never really going to trouble Doyle, but he looked a bit uncomfortable having to backpedal, didn't really know where he was in the goal, but like I say, on the whole, didn't really have too much to do. The first half, there was a ball that got played into the channel, and for some reason Doyle came out. He was never going to claim it, so the striker gets a toe onto it. I think it brushes off of Doyle's shoulder, and then Diabate has to do kind of an unorthodox clearance to put it out for a corner kick. But apart from that, I can't really remember anything that Doyle did. His distribution was okay on the whole, nothing really too stand out from that point of view. I would personally rather see Zach Cady play in these type of matches, but if Alexander goes with Collin Doyle, I don't hate it all too much. Another clean sheet for him now. I think he's 14th in our all-time clean sheet record. He's got 4 more now than Harry Lewis, I do believe. I saw that stat on Bantam's Heritage. I could have just completely got that wrong, but it's something like that, to be honest with you. Collin Doyle, though, I'm going 6 out of 10. As we played and started with a 4-4-2 for the first time since kind of Alexander's second game for the football club. We're going to go in, obviously, the order of the back four, so we're not going to the centre-backs first. We're going to the right-back first in today's episode. So J. Ben up next then. I'm going with a 7 out of 10. A positive first 90 minutes in a Bradford City shirt for the Lincoln City loanee. I'd have liked to see him go forward a little bit more. He wasn't really involved too much in an attacking sense, but he made a brilliant recovery challenge in the second half where he showed excellent pace. Mansfield, it looked like they were in down at their left hand side, but J. Ben sprinted back and put in a brilliant recovery slide challenge. I was really impressed with that from J. Ben. Nothing really amazing, and has he done enough to potentially displace Brad Halliday? I'm not so sure. I think whether you're going to play Halliday or Ben depends on the formation you're going to play. If you play a back 4, I think I'd go Brad Halliday. If you're going to play a back 3, especially at home, I think I'll be looking to start J. Ben at this point in the season. Halliday hasn't been amazing so far. He was okay at the weekend against Walsall, looked better in a back 4, and I wouldn't be surprised to see us start with a 4-4-2 at the weekend, especially when you consider we've got 4 centre-backs injured at the moment. Check Diabate is up next then. Wow, 9 out of 10. What a performance and what a signing. A few people have been a bit critical of Check Diabate's time at Bradford City so far, but you simply cannot criticise yesterday's performance. He was absolutely excellent. I personally believe he has been very good so far in a Bradford City shirt, but yesterday he was absolutely top class, almost a perfect performance. Defensively it looked brilliant. Mansfield didn't really have much of a sniff going forward, and that was largely down to Check Diabate. He won every physical tussle, just kind of shrugging the Mansfield attackers out of the way, and you know, there were some strong attacking players in that squad for Mansfield yesterday. There were a number of top class tackles and blocks. His distribution was very good. For me personally, from what I've seen so far, I think he's been our best performing centre back. Maybe you could say Aidan Baldwin, but Check Diabate and Baldwin I'd probably say have been the best too. I think Baldwin was a little bit weak, I would say, maybe against MK Dons, but apart from that, I think Baldwin's been pretty solid. Diabate, though, he's been excellent. Has probably been our best centre-back so far this season. Somebody asked me on yesterday's watch-along, if obviously you don't know, over on the main channel, we do watch-alongs for a lot of games so far this season. Someone asked me, who do you think will end up being the signing of the season? And looking at the players who we had signed, I said Check Diabate, and I'll stand by that again. I think he was brilliant yesterday and deserves a 9 out of 10. Excellent. After that, we move on to Jack Shephard. I've gone with an 8 out of 10 for him. Very similar to Check Diabate. Absolutely brilliant. His distribution stood out a lot more than his defensive ability in yesterday's game. He plays a brilliant forward pass. I think it's in the build-up to our second goal. I think a back 4 with Shephard and Diabate could be good for us going forward. I think they kind of suit each other well, but they've got the pace to play in a back 4. They've got the physicality to deal with different types of strikers. I've been really impressed with Diabate and Shephard so far. They're kind of modern centre-halves who can do the ugly stuff as well if you need them to. Like I mentioned, you factor in Mansfield played some very well well-established forwards last night, starting with the likes of Ben Quinn, Tom Nichols, Ben Waine. Will Evans even came on off the bench yesterday as well. We didn't see Lee Gregory enter the field of play. I know Mansfield have got injuries, but it was still a fairly strong side. If you put that Mansfield team in League 2 for a full season, they'd more than hold their own. They'd probably finish in and around mid-table, so it's not like they were playing a team of kids like some people were suggesting. They had 2 teenagers, I think, in their starting 11. I think it was Flanagan was one of their better players last night, so I don't think we can take anything away and say, oh, it's only EFL Trophy, or we're only playing against kids. There were some very good players in that Mansfield side, and I thought Diabate and Shephard were brilliant. Diabate, though, slightly edges it for me, and Diabate would have been my man of the match. And completing the back four then was Lewis Richards. I've gone with an 8 out of 10 for him. One of his best displays in a Bradford City shirt. The most notable thing that I saw was definitely his crossing. Normally his crosses are pretty underwhelming and quite poor and never really beat the first man, but yesterday every single one of his deliveries was excellent to the back post. We were constantly getting connections from Oliver, Sanderson, even when Cook came on the pitch as well. He crosses the ball into the box for our second goal, which Sanderson heads down for Poynton to fire into the back of the net. Defensively, I thought he was pretty solid, and he is now pushing for a start on Saturday, depending on the formation. If you're going to play a back three, he probably does play as a left centre-back, because we've got the 4 centre-backs that are injured. I don't want to see him play as a wing-back. If you play a back four, I'd be happy to see him start as a left-back, and maybe Tyreek Wright on the left wing, for example. We don't know about Jamie Walker. He's touch and go for Saturday. He picked up an injury against Walsall, unfortunately. There was no Tyler Smith in the squad last night as well, because I believe he's just had his first child, so understandable, obviously, that he's not going to miss that for an EFL Trophy game. Maybe a playoff final, but I don't think you're going to miss the birth of your first child for an EFL Trophy group stage match. Into the 4 in midfield then. Now, I thought going into the game it would have been Joe Adams on the right and Bobby Poynton on the left, with Poynton playing on the left-hand side at the weekend. When he came on off the bench, Clough playing there. Alexander likes his wingers to wing rather than cut in, if that does make sense. But Poynton played on at the right-hand side. I've gone with a 7 out of 10 for Bobby Poynton. Great for him to finally score another goal. That's 2 for the season, I do believe. His other goal coming against Bromley, and I think it was his first right-footed goal in senior football, obviously including last season as well. I don't think he scored with his right foot, so obviously great for him to kind of have that adaptability and be able to shoot on both feet. But I've spoken a lot about getting bodies into the box, and we've not really done that at times throughout this season, so it was good for Poynton to get in there, in and around it. He's obviously playing on the right wing, but he picks up a very central position for that goal. His overall performance wasn't too impactful. He did have some good link-up play at times, but that lack of pace on the wing is a slight concern for me. He can beat a man, but then he always has to come back inside because he hasn't got the pace to take him down the line, if that does make sense. So it's a little bit of a concern, but he's done himself absolutely no harm with the performance, and obviously scoring goals is a very important trait to have. Richie Smallwood is up next then, and I've gone with a 7.5 out of 10. Some people may be surprised or unhappy that Smallwood was starting in yesterday's game. I think I'm right in saying he's the only player to have played every match so far this season, or started in every match so far this season. He obviously hasn't played in every minute, as he was subbed off after about an hour 65 minutes in the previous EFL Trophy match, but apart from that, I do think he has played every minute so far this season, which for a 34, 35-year-old is obviously fair dues, especially in central midfield where you're doing probably 10, 11 kilometres a match. So big credit to Richie Smallwood for his fitness. He's never injured and all that sort of stuff as well. I don't think he's had an injury at all during his time with Bradford City so far. Great pressing to force the mistake for our first goal. It's a pretty unlucky pass, to be fair, from, I think it's Finn Flanagan. It's something Flanagan, but I'm pretty sure it's Finn Flanagan. His pass is only half a yard wrong, but it enables us to win the ball back. Patterson puts the ball in, and a good header from Oliver, but that all came from Smallwood initiating the original press. And I think the 4-4-2 next to Alex Patterson suits them both absolutely massively, especially Smallwood. When one goes, the other one sits, because Smallwood can do that high pressing, but Patterson can also do the sitting. Patterson, I would say, is better going forward, but they work well with each other. They're very well balanced, and you factor in, a lot of people complaining about Alex Gilead departing, but when you put Smallwood and Gilead next to each other, you would have not got a performance anywhere near what we saw yesterday. So I think it goes down a lot to Patterson, but Smallwood as well. They complement each other so well. They're both brilliant in the air as well for two players who are shorter than 6 foot, especially Alex Patterson. So no complaints to me with Smallwood or Alex Patterson, but Smallwood's getting a 7.5 out of 10. And speaking of Alex Patterson, he gets a 9 out of 10 for me. When Patterson plays like that, he is a top-end League One player, and I know that's a big claim to make, but I think he's absolutely brilliant when he does play like that. We just need to see it on a much more consistent basis. That is the Patterson we saw at the start of last season. It's the Patterson we saw throughout pre-season, on the opening day against MK Dons as well. He ran the game single-handedly. Yes, we had some good players, and a lot of players played very well, but Patterson was a big standout for me. If you're not going to give Diabate man of the match, it definitely would be Alex Patterson. He gets a great assist for our first goal. A brilliant ball into the box, to be fair. fair, on his weaker left foot as well. I thought Alex Patterson had a really, really good game. The energy in that midfield was excellent. He didn't stop running all game. He brought the ball forwards for our third goal as well. He played the ball originally out wide to Tariq Wright. He has to keep that performance level up though in the league and do it consistently if he wants to find himself in the side. He's been on the bench in the last 2 league matches, but he changed the game when coming on at half-time against Walsall. I thought Patterson was brilliant yesterday, so he gets a 9 out of 10 from me. Quick change of the camera battery, and we move on now to Joe Adams. I've gone with a 7 out of 10, and not only does he look like Jordan Gibson, but he plays like him too, especially when you see him on that left wing cutting inside on the right foot. His stature and the way he hits the ball, passes the ball, everything looks so similar to Jordan Gibson. Andy, I don't think he'll be watching this, but good mate of mine is our Andy Gibson. But I thought he had an excellent first half. It did Joe Adams. He tied quite a lot in the second half and obviously came off quite near the end of the game with an injury, so fingers crossed that's nothing too serious. I thought he played a perfectly weighted ball through for Ollie Sanderson as well in that first half, which Sanderson should have definitely scored. He put it kind of straight at Flinders. I think he were in 2 minds whether to open his body up and try and curl it into the far corner like a Thierry Henry, or wrap it back in to the near post, and he kind of ended up hitting it at Scott Flinders and it ended up going over the bar. I think Scott Flinders was definitely Mansfield's man of the match yesterday. I thought he was brilliant, but Oshilaja I thought also changed the game for them defensively when he came on at half time. If injury free, I think Joe Adams should be on the bench on Saturday for me. Obviously we've only seen him be included in 2 games so far, both EFL Trophy matches. It was 85, 90 minutes under his belt tonight. I think he got 65 against Newcastle's under 21s. So now in the middle of September, he should hopefully have enough match fitness to even come on off the bench for like 20 minutes or so, because I think when he does play, he can be pretty impactful, and we're slowly starting to see why we did spend the whole of the summer and pre-season trying to chase him. But Joe Adams for me, I thought he was pretty solid, so he's getting a 7 out of 10. Vian Oliver is up next then. I've gone with a 7.5 out of 10. I've been very critical of Oliver throughout his time at Bradford City so far in his 2 and a bit years with the football club, and I think for a lot of the time it has been pretty deservedly so, but yesterday was positive signs for our number 19. He took his goal very well. That's his kind of bread and butter, similar to Andy Cook, them crosses to the back post. I thought our deliveries into the box all over the park were absolutely brilliant, but especially from that left hand side, particularly Lewis Richards, but obviously Patterson for the goal as well. Yes, it was a free header, and we have to factor in Mansfield's 2 centre backs were a striker and a left back, the left back who was marking Vian Oliver, but I guess he's only like 5'9", something like that, Steve McLaughlin, but it was still a well taken header from Oliver. And there were people after the game talking about, you know, where the doubters at for Oliver, where the haters at for Clark Adore in there as well. And I think for the money Vian Oliver is on, let's not think just because he scored 1 goal in the EFL Trophy that he's suddenly an amazing player, because he's on 3.5, 4 grand a week, or that's certainly the rumour. And for that sort of money, you must be getting 20 league goals at the absolute minimum to be okay. That's an okay season for that type of money at League 2 level, especially at Bradford City. And I think he'll struggle to get 5 league goals this season. You know, it was a good header, but what else did he really do in the match? You know, he had a decent strike from about 25 yards out, which was well saved by Scott Flinders in that first half, and he tries to put himself about a bit. And don't get me wrong, it was a well taken goal. I think the goal definitely lifted him and gave him a bit of belief, but it's about doing that on a consistent basis. And if you're scoring regularly, then he's going to get he's going to get praise and all that sort of stuff. But I just don't see him doing that for Bradford City. And you know, a lot of people talking about the doubters and stuff for Vian Oliver. Let's not forget, Graham Alexander doesn't want Oliver, or didn't want him in the summer. He told him, same with Kevin McDonald, you're more than welcome to go and find another club, and obviously no club is stupid enough to pay Oliver what we're currently paying him. While at the time it looked like a good signing, it's one that hasn't worked out. Should we be giving him a 3-year deal? No, thankfully we're not doing that type of stupid stuff for these days. But Oliver for me, I'm going 7.5 out of 10. Positive signs, but still a lot more work to be done to be justifying the wage that he's on at Bradford City for me. And the final player then in the starting 11 was Ollie Sanderson. I'm going with a 7 out of 10 for the Fulham loanee. Brilliant link-up play for our first goal. He's involved in that with the likes of Patterson. I think Smallwood's also involved with it. Even Joe Adams as well. He gets the assist for our second goal, but according to Sky Sports Scores, he hasn't been given an assist, and it's gone down as like a off the Mansfield player. But it's clearly Ollie Sanderson who does head the ball down. Good ball into the box from Lewis Richards. Great knockdown from Sanderson. Perfectly weighted knockdown as well. And obviously Poynton smashes it through Scott Flinders' legs. I think Flinders probably should save that in all honesty, but still a good knockdown from Sanderson. Again, he wasn't involved too much in the game other than that. He has played a lot of football recently as well, which is something I did want to talk about. Out of everybody in that team, apart from maybe Smallwood, he has had the biggest workload, especially when you factor in he's a striker. It's alright for the likes of Diabate and Shepherd, who have also played a lot of football recently, especially Chet Diabate, but their centre-backs, they're not doing as much running the game as what Sanderson and Smallwood are doing. I think for a young player who wasn't playing as much at the start of the season to now be thrown in and be playing 70, 80, 90 minutes Saturday, Tuesday, it's a lot for a young player. Now, I wasn't so sure he needed as long on the pitch. I'd have brought him off maybe 10 or 15 minutes earlier. That's my only slight gripe on the game, in honesty. I put down here Smith not even on the bench, but Jamie Rayner's come out and said, and spoke to Alexander, basically said, he missed the game through the birth of his first child, which is obviously very understandable. Sanderson, he's getting goal contributions, which is good, but I need to see him involved in the play a lot more, and just getting involved a little bit more for me. Obviously, scoring goals and assisting is the most important thing, but if you want to be an elite striker, you have to be performing consistently for 70, 80 minutes of the game. You have to be getting involved a lot more, and I don't think Sanderson's quite doing that at the moment. I'm not going to complain, though. Similar to Callum Kovan last season, you can play not amazingly. I don't think he's playing poorly. I just don't think he's been involved as much, and we know he's a good player. When he does get involved, he's just getting goal contributions. Is that too bad of a thing? Probably not if he gets us promoted. Let's move on then to the substitutions very quickly. I should be able to do all this in one take without any cuts because a lot of the players weren't on for very long. We made a double change around the 70, 75th minute mark when Cook and Kavanagh came on. We'll start out firstly with Andy Cook. I've gone with a 6.5 out of 10 for the number 9. Nice dummy for Clough goal. I don't know if it was intentional or not, and I don't actually know if he got a touch on the ball. If he didn't, it goes down as a Tyreek Wright assist. If he did, then it's a very fluky assist for Andy Cook. He didn't seem to get on well with Dead Josh Larger. They were having a few spats and the referee were talking to him from set piece and stuff, but I don't really know what that was about. Shame he didn't get his mandatory goal against the Stags. Even last season when they put 5 past us, Andy Cook still found a way to get himself on the score sheet, but I guess it doesn't really count if he's not starting in a league match. Who really cares though? I'd much rather him score in the league games. He scored plenty of goals against Mansfield over the years, and yeah, 6.5 out of 10, nothing really too much to add other than that. Callum Kovan, I've gone with a 5.5 out of 10. First time we've seen him in about 2.5 weeks or so. He was nursing a knock. Whether that was just Alexander kind of taking him out the firing line for a little bit, I guess we'll never know. He had a decent shot from about 25 yards out, which was well saved by Flinders. The ball kind of got killed dead, really, and it was a perfect opportunity to strike the ball. It was probably going to find a top corner. It would have obviously been a very good goal. You see a lot of strikers kind of blaze them and they go way over the bar. It was good technique from Callum Kovan, and we actually saw him complete a pass, which was a big shock, but I think that's the first time this season where he has completed a pass, so by this season standards, he deserves a bit of credit for that. But again, he gave the ball away very sloppily and very cheaply, which in incidents which were just unnecessary. We're talking about 5-10 yard passes to a Tyreek Wright, simple balls, and they were going out of play or going straight to a Mansfield play, and it happened 3 or 4 times, and it was quite frustrating. Would I be surprised to see Callum Kovan not in the squad at the weekend? Potentially so. As of right now, though, I'm not seeing enough from Callum Kovan. This camera batch is also now going to die, so I'm going 5.5 out of 10 for Kovan. So unprofessional of me to be so underprepared, and all 4 of my camera batteries would be dead at this point. Not ideal. Clough, though, he gets a 7 out of 10 from me. After the open goal blunder at the weekend, it's obviously very good for his confidence to score in this game, but it's much easier to score a goal in the 95th minute when you're 2-0 up in the EFL Trophy compared to in the 60th minute at 1-1 in a league game against a promotion rival. So that's my little frustration with Clough. With Adams getting fit, there is a lot of competition for places, so he has to be more on it. It was a good goal. I think that's his first goal of the season. Am I right in saying? I feel like he scored in just I can't remember why, but I feel like Clough has already scored so far this season. He might not have done. I might be completely making it up. I know he's got a few goal contributions, a few assists. That's maybe what I'm thinking of. But Clough, it's frustrating. I'd much rather him score the goal at the weekend against Walsall than tonight against Mansfield. Not tonight, yesterday against Mansfield. But overall, I'm going 7 out of 10. There were certainly positive signs there. Tyreek Wright was our final substitution. He was literally on for 2 minutes plus stoppage time. Clough was on for about 9-8 minutes plus stoppage time, something like that. Tyreek Wright, I'm going with a 6.5 out of 10 for. He technically does get the assist for Clough's goal. Again, like what I was saying about Andy Cook, I don't know if Cookie actually did touch the ball or not, but it'd be good for Tyreek Wright to get yet another assist because he's had a fair few so far this season. That's what I've been saying about Wright. He's hopeless defensively, but going forward, he will get goal contributions. And in a 4-4-2, as a left midfielder, I think that could get the best out of Tyreek Wright. And I think there can be a decent player in there, but if you're not going to play him in his best position, then you're not going to get the best out of him. And for a young player to be developing, you have to play them in their best position, because defensively, he's simply not good enough. And I don't think he's ever going to develop the ability to do so defensively, because he has no desire to defend. You know, you either have that or you don't, and Tyreek Wright doesn't have that, and that's fine, because he's much better going forward, and we need to kind of take the shackles off him a little bit, play him as a left midfielder in a 4-4-2, and I do certainly think we could see the Mark Hughes Tyreek Wright coming back, because he's played striker, left wing, number 10, left back, left wing back, so many different positions for Bradford City, and we don't kind of speak about that, but we speak about it quite a lot with Clough. But Tyreek Wright for me, I'm going 6.5 out of 10. And finally, Graham Alexander, I'm going with a 9 out of 10. I was happy with the rotation, happy with the result, even more happy with the performance. My only downside for me is Sanderson's workload seems to be quite a lot recently. Maybe he should have come off at half-time for Callum Kovan potentially. If that knock was to be true though for Kovan, I guess maybe 45 minutes after 2.5 weeks out, Alexander might see that as too much of a workload, but even half an hour, I think Sanderson should have come off a little bit earlier. That's my only slight concern, and I would have much rather seen Zach Cady play over Collin Doyle, but these are very, very small things that I'm complaining about, and obviously we always have to find something to complain about. But overall, delighted with the bounce back against a decent side. You know, Mansfield weren't full strength, neither were we. Only, I think, Smallwood was somebody who started on the opening day against MK Dons were starting in this match, if that does make sense. So there's been, obviously, like the likes of Diabate and Shephard have been playing a lot more recently because of injuries, for example. But on the whole, for me, happy with everything. Not really much to complain about. Great win for us, and fingers crossed it continues for a long period of time. You know, it's a start of a new winning run. Fingers crossed it continues. And what I want you to let me know down in the comment section down below this week is, what are you having for your tea tonight? Just let me know down below. I guess that'll show me the that's not English. Show me the loyal viewers of who actually watches all the way to the end. Let me know what you have, and anything nice, anything fancy. It's a Wednesday, middle of the week, so it's kind of probably just Kievs and chips for most people, isn't it? You know, it's not the most exciting of evenings is a Wednesday evening. Make sure to like, comment and subscribe, though. Your support, as always, is massively appreciated. Corbin will be back on Sunday for the play ratings from Wimbledon at home. Thank you all for watching. Thank you all for the support as well on yesterday's Carlisle, Mike Williamson, MK Dons rumour thing as well. Much appreciated. See you later.